What up, guys? Kevin here. Vice presidential debate. I just watched it. Yes, I even cut work early today to make sure I get home in time to watch it. And I'm glad I did, because these things are usually boring. But when you got a goofball, a flailing weirdo goofball in Tim Walz versus JD Vance, who's just perfect. He's just too perfect. He was so perfect during this debate. Like, it wasn't even fair. I actually kind of walk away feeling very bad for Tim Walz. If there's anything going for him, he did such a bad job. It's kind of like if you see a puppy get kicked, you're like, oh, man. Like, He did awful. Now, does the vice president decides the winner or loser? I really don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm sure it sways some votes. We can't say it's zero. But I think overall, not really. But man, if a debate performance where someone says you can't say fire in a movie theater, a debate performance where one of the candidates says, I am friends with school shooters. If that doesn't move at least a few more votes than what typically does, then why have vice presidents at all? My God, Tim Walz. Jeez. That debate, again, it was 3-on-1. 3-on-1. If you notice when you watch the debate, JD Vance, like whenever he had an opportunity to follow up, there was one that was huge. The Tiananmen Square and like the stolen valor and all that. Tim Walz was asked about and he's like, hey, would you like to apologize, or why were you lying? And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a slam dunk for JD Vance. But they always go to him with a new question. They never let him rebut. Like, I'm like, all right, slam dunk time. And they just ask him a question. And he was very good. There was one point where the debate moderators, they started the debate saying, we are not going to fact check, because ABC fact checked Kamala Harris and Donald. Well, they didn't fact check Kamala Harris at all. They kept fact checking Donald Trump. So the moderators, I forgot who the net was, it CBS? They're like, we'll let the candidates do the fact checking. We'll not do the fact checking. I'm like, all right, maybe they're learning something. Of course not. They jumped to JD Vance and like about Springfield, Ohio, and the immigrants there, and correcting him, or the campaign, the Trump campaign there. And he butted in and said, hold up, you guys are not supposed to fact check. Now you got to give me time to talk about it. And he did, and then they cut him off. They cut him off because they know it was making them look bad. They're like, oh, he actually has a really good answer to this, and we're looking very bad here. And they kept cutting him off, and then they would cut off Tim Walz too, a lot too, because he was choking. He was choking. There was one point, the Tiananmen Square, and he's like, oh, just, I grew up riding my bicycle. And they tried to give him another out, and he had nothing. I'm like, this is going very bad. Very bad. Very bad. And JD Vance was just perfect. Even on stuff where I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a point for Tim Walz, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, there were points where Tim Walz was like nodding his head and agreeing with JD Vance. He was that good of a debater. That good. My only out for Tim Walz, and look, I'm not rooting for that guy. I'm not voting for that team. The only thing I could say about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is, you ever see through people? They're putting on an act, and you just kind of let them do it. You're like, I know who they really are. I know what they really believe in, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. That's how I view Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. I know who they really are. They shouldn't be anywhere near office, but I don't mind them as human beings. They're just putting on an act or whatever. Um, but man, I never seen someone get smacked. I wouldn't be surprised if here's what's going to happen. If this has any repercussions on people voting for Kamala or switching sides, he's going to quit. Tim Walz. They might have to get Pelosi on the line and just be like, hey, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. Your debate performance was so bad that we're actually losing voters now. So you can just quit gracefully, come up with some medical condition or something that you have to step aside, or we'll fire your ass, just like we did with Joe Biden. Like that is on the table now. I think that's on the table. Will it happen? No, because ultimately it would be like Kamala, like this is your decision making. Your decision making is your vice president, and you swap them out the last minute. Yeah, that's that shows you have very poor decision making skills. So I don't think they will do it, but I still won't be surprised if they have that conversation. Someone has that conversation like, yeah, this isn't for you. He even looked like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Went from coaching football to saying I am friends with school shooters on national TV, broadcasting to millions of people. And I'm going to be fair to him. He was just nervous and he just talked out his ass. I do that a lot too, but maybe not someone you want as a vice presidential candidate. Just saying. Oh man. But yeah, that was very entertaining. I was very entertained. The you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. I lost it. I'm just like, you're not making the point you think you're making. you are not. But yeah. JD Vance, I got nothing. He was just perfect. He was just perfect. And I think he quieted down a lot of people that said it was a bad pick. Like, I don't think there would have been anyone else that would have done as good of a job as he did. Maybe get close, but yeah, I think CNN said like Tim Walz, they're comparing it to Joe Biden's debate performance. I'm like, dude, the dude is 81 and has worms eating his brain. Man, I will say he wasn't as flaily. Tim Walz wasn't as flaily. Maybe that's what his issue was. I think he was debilitated, guys. I think he was just so nervous because probably he's like, oh, I can't flail around like a fucking idiot. So it was just off his game. I bet you if he was able to flail his arms around and go, yeah, maybe he would have put in a little bit better of a performance. But man, that was something to watch. That was just some parts of it just don't seem real, right? Sometimes I ask myself, I'm like, are we living in a simulation? Because this really does feel like it. Man, like the days of things were so quaint. Things were so quaint back then. Who was it? Wasn't it what lost George Bush the first senior? What did he say? Like, read my lips, no new taxes or something? Stuff like that. Like, just stuff's like so quaint like that. So simple. Just like that will kill your campaign or kill your presidency or whatever. And nowadays you can just get on a debate stage, say you cannot shout fire in a crowded theater. Or you can go ahead and say, I am friends with school shooters. And everything's okay. You're fine. Who cares? I think there's just too much going on. I think we are mad and outraged, but like literally a second later, we don't give a fuck. We're like, ooh, what's else over here? Got so many other things to distract us. But that was a fun distraction for tonight. Let me know what you think in the debate. Ultimately, I just don't see how Trump loses at this point. I mean, even if JD Vance just totally shit the bed. See, it can't be true that if JD Vance shits the bed during a debate, Trump's campaign is over while Tim Walz gives a performance like this and it not be over for Kamala Harris. So, but yeah, ultimately, Trump's going to win. He barely lost last time. And you're telling me that Trump is not going to gain more voters? There's just no way that he can't gain more voters. Well, somehow Kamala Harris even gains more in those swing states. No, he's going to gain some more voters in those swing states, and Kamala Harris is going to lose more voters because she's not President Biden, and just no one likes her. I don't think it's that no one likes her. Just no one really has an opinion on her. Like, no one does. The only opinion is, oh, she's a Democrat. I love her. That's no one, like, I don't even know who she is. But all right, I'm done here. Let me know what you think of the debate in the comment section. I got to go. I'll talk to you later. Later.